Welcome, everyone. Today we're going to talk about Hellscape. And this is a sponsored review of Hellscape terrain. Dwarven Forge has sent me some pieces for review. And I love doing something like this because I already love Dwarven Forge. So when Dwarven Forge says, hey, here's some free terrain to look at, I say, yes, please, because it's something I already love. So I can very honestly talk to you about how much I like the Hellscape terrain. And I'm not shilling. I'm actually just talking about the things that I like. So this is going to focus on Hellscape, but I thought it might be nice to show off a few different Dwarven Forge builds that I've done over time. So this was my Tomb of Annihilation home game, facing off against a dragon. And if you look over to the right side there, you'll see sort of some plastic bases meant to elevate. Those are Litco bases, elevating a cart that's from the old Dungeon Tiles Dark Sunset. And those are the player characters mounted on there, heading directly towards a red dragon. That was a lot of fun to recreate with Dwarven Forge using various Caverns pieces, as well as some other accessories from different companies. Here is me recreating one of the Dungeon of Doom areas when I ran Dungeon of Doom for my players. And I put in a cool McFarlane minis that is kind of crawling up over this bridge. Those are old Dwarven Forge pieces other than the miniatures, though it isn't the actual pieces for creating this room. I just recreated it from other Dwarven Forge pieces I own. And that's one of the neat things. You don't actually have to own everything to reproduce, say, what you might see in a Dwarven Forge adventure. Here also me reproducing a book or another scene from the Dwarven Forge Dungeon of Doom adventure. Golems and gorgons and all sorts of madness coming out after everybody. And then we have my recreation of the ending of Tomb of Annihilation. A few spoilers there, but nothing you probably haven't seen somewhere else. A lot of DMs have worked to recreate this, and this is the kind of thing that you can just do in Dwarven Forge relatively easily, actually. I have the pieces in the center are not Dwarven Forge, and of course the miniatures are not. Yes, that is a Rancor. But it's the kind of thing that you can do to just really have fun when you're creating a build. You quickly put in some Dwarven Forge terrain, some other things that you have, and the end result is super awesome. Now, let's get back to the subject at hand, which is Hellscape. So this is a picture from their Kickstarter that shows you what the breadth of what they were offering. Lava rivers, glowing pieces, massive gates that you can just recreate Avernus or any of the 9 hells as well. Well, the fiery ones, I guess. And you could also create just volcano scenes and just anything of that nature. So let's take a look at the website. And let's start just by looking at actually the Kickstarter. So you can see there were 1,855 backers that pledged more than 1,200,000 to bring this thing to life. Really impressive. And as part of this, it's always neat to kind of go back to these pages because you can really see kind of, if you're shopping around for a set, you can see everything that it offers by looking at, well, what existed in the Kickstarter and how do they talk about it and what kind of videos they have. And there are all kinds of neat resources that you can get through this that also are on their YouTube channel and on other ways. But I find that the Kickstarter can actually be a really cool place to go and sort of see, what did you miss, but how did they put it together? How did they offer it to you? What kind of pictures they have, encounter graphics, gives you really neat ideas for builds. So this is a great resource. Don't miss that. Here's a nice example of how it can all come together. Just excellent stuff. Talks about how they make it. You can get it painted and unpainted. And so all really helpful to get you to think through what is available. And we're going to talk about these various pieces, and we're going to show you examples on this stream. And the reason I'm talking about this today, and the reason they sent it out, is they just did a restock based on that Kickstarter. So typically there'll be the Kickstarter. There'll be a sort of first time that pieces are released and the public can buy them, and those who did not back in the Kickstarter. And then they will restock periodically popular pieces. Not every piece gets restock that appears in the Kickstarter. They do look at what is selling well and so on, but most pieces you will find, or a lot of the pieces that are critical, you will find. So there is this restock that took place the day that I'm recording this, May 4th. And there are all kinds of neat pieces, not just from Hellscape, but you can see there is a lot of Hellscape as well. So if you you can see from this over here, that is an example on the far upper right of what I was trying to recreate with that scene that you saw the image of a little bit ago that had the dragon crawling over the bridge. There are a lot of pieces that are neat, and all of this you can get just by going to the Dwarven Forge store, and you can go to the shop section. If you've seen previous streams, you know that you can get free adventures, so that's really cool. But you can shop, and you can look at all the different types of things they have. And if you're looking specifically for the Hellscape that we're going to talk about, then you'll find it under Caverns, because it's sort of a type of cavern-like scenarios. The scenes, the terrain is all sort of caverny, but red magma kind of look. And there you'll find there are 76 products and all of the different pieces that have been restocked. And you can just kind of hover over to see different pieces and look at what is available. One of the things we're going to show off today is going to be the light panel. That's another thing. You can just search for light panel, or it'll show up if you're kind of surfing through. And we're going to show you how these pieces come together. There is a bottom piece that lights up and a controller. There are little bits that connect together and wires that bridge, so you can have things separated by some distance if you want, or right next to each other, several light panels together. And then there's even an overlay if you want a grid that can help you by sort of removing the shadows in between pieces, or the light from being in between pieces. It sort of creates a shadow between the pieces that can make it seem a little more like it all flows together. So the light panel is something we're going to look at. And then we're also going to take a look at this Hellscape floor pack painted. And I'll just click on it quickly here so you can see what that involves. Some really neat, like abyssal grabbing sort of terrain, and then various floor pieces. So in addition to the Hellscape floor pack, which goes for $110, we're going to look at the Caverns core set painted. This is $198. It's really, really cool. You can see here the difference between like lighting it up from beneath and not. You can see all of the different pieces that are included, which allows you to create a number of different configurations based on how you put it together. The pieces all are amazing. The quality is just incredible. And we'll look at some of these fun, like these trap pieces that you can add. And you can see, you know, here's an example of an alternate build with sort of a side entrance here versus this version that we see here. So there are a number of different options for how you build it. And then we are going to also look at the Advanced Caverns core set. This is meant as a piece that sort of complements other sets that you already have with Hellscape. So when you have that core set, then you can add the advanced set, and it allows you to have different build options, like these sort of neat entranceway type pieces and really nice stalagmite kind of stalactite, pieces that are coming from the ceiling. Little lava areas, neat kind of corner pieces, different pedestals. Really allows you to create a number of interesting builds and diversify up what you do with that room, allow you to make 2 rooms, things like that. And so those are the 3 pieces that are here. We're going to look at that. I'm also going to show you a few things because I just can't help it. I'm going to show you a few of the river pieces. Those are really, really great. I love those. And the volcano, which I think is really neat. So we'll look at that. Dwarven Forge is known for having a high price point. So that's just something to be aware of. You know, if this is not something you can afford, hey, you do not need this. But if you can afford it, it's a really neat thing to have. And then it can add a lot of variety to the type of games that you are running. When I run games for my friends, sometimes I run Theater of the Mind. Sometimes I run, you know, a battle map where I draw out on a vinyl mat. But they do really, really love these builds. I actually haven't run a Hellscape one yet, but just because of the pandemic. You can see here just the incredible variety of what's available out there. So things like this second encounter room with a sort of neat map that goes underneath it. So you can kind of have a river of souls type of effect. You can see the third area that these are from the original Kickstarter with this huge lava room and this towering gate that you go through the hells, and it's got like a prison here. I mean, it's just incredible the variety of what you can get through this build. So all of these pieces are here. You know, it's really neat to go here and just drool. But again, this is not a thing you must have for the game. It's a thing that's really cool to have for your game. So if you can afford it, neat, this is the way to do it. There are lots of other terrain options out there, which I talk about often on my blog, alphastream.org. I like everything. That's one of my problems, or almost everything, I should say. But the Dwarven Forge stuff is just really good. I am an enormous fan. And what I often do with writing projects is I will take money from writing projects and I will buy terrain with it because that's how much I love it. Because my day job is what I use to cover, you know, rent and things like that. But absolutely don't buy this stuff if you can't cover your rent. That is a no-no. So this is for once you make it past that phase in life, pay off all your debt, save up money, and buy Dwarven Forge. So we're going to, after this break, I'm going to switch to using my phone to show you some of those up close views of this terrain. It's really cool. Okay, so here we are back and ready to examine some pieces. So the first we're going to look at is what you're seeing here on the ground is a light board, this light panel. And what the light panels are meant to do is to allow you to make all your pieces do like a super cool glow, right? And you're gonna see they're pretty neat. They do their job quite nicely. It's a lot of fun. Let's see if I can center it right there. Pretty good. I'll hold another one so you can see sort of what the edges look like and kind of what that's like, and the thickness wise. If I put a kind of finger there, you can see sort of, you know, it's relatively thin, and they have sort of, you know, black on one side and plus minuses on the edges. You can sort of see that there. And what that allows you to do is to take little pieces, and they'll give you a set of like cables and little kind of connectors. So you can either connect via a light board by just sort of putting it in there and connecting two right next to each other, so they really like fit one next to the other. Or you can use these sort of cable pieces, and this allows you to do a wider connector that's some distance away. So those are the light boards. You also get this, which is a double-sided black or silver grid. And this grid, what it allows you to do is to place down pieces so that there's a little bit of a shadow when you're putting them together. And that'll prevent light from spilling in between that crack. So it kind of creates it so that the glow is where you want it to be, rather than sort of all around. So yeah, it's pretty nice. They've thought of a lot of things here. These look great. I've used these and they are super fun. So let's show you, you know, what happens. So I'm going to start by showcasing the floor pieces. And so you'll see what this looks like. These are just two plain floor pieces, kind of the most basic piece that you have out there. And I'm going to turn the dial here so that we start getting some light. My camera will take some seconds to adjust, but you can see how that really makes that piece glow. And if I bring in, you know, another piece, you can, depending on how my lighting is, you can see how that works. I'll say the human eye is a lot better than the camera at sort of adjusting this, right? So if I just look down right now at the table, it looks super cool. Like, it's really neat how these pieces look. I see the full shiny black, gray black here. And then this glowing magma. You might see sort of a little less in terms of how much the black gray shows up. But in this floor piece, you're going to get a whole bunch of these pieces, and you can, you know, put them all together there. You're going to also get some three-dimensional floor pieces. They look a little bit more like, you know, really liquid magma flowing in between. and you're sort of carefully stepping, you'll notice that all of these pieces have a sort of subtle grid woven in here. So one of these squares, like say this here, is basically the size of a miniature base for a normal 25, 28 millimeter base. So there are essentially 4 pieces, and if you look at it, you can kind of see how like these form the equivalent of a quarter of that space. So it's nice. It's not heavy. It doesn't look like just a total grid. There's interest level there, but you can easily figure out your grid. And so like, oh, okay, I'm moving, from here, it's 5, 10, 15, 20 feet. Not hard to play D&D or similar RPGs like that. So this 3-dimensional piece is really neat. You can see it has these like spikes coming up, really feels like stone. So it takes the flatness of this. I can hear Nate say the word bread and butter. Nate from Dwarven Forge is always saying that. It's kind of your typical, just great, does its job piece. And then you've got this sort of really neat standout piece that you can use to add dimensions to it. But wait, there's more. You also get this type, which has an even larger protrusion, kind of a pedestal that could offer cover, or you can climb up. And the one next to it is also raised, so that lets you sort of, mount up to that area and have a higher terrain piece to kind of come up here and then go up on top of there, and maybe it leads to something else. So you will get 2 of those, of both of those pieces that I just showed. So, just with this part of the floor pack, we can, easily create a small little space that is all magma covered and super awesome. And with the glowing aspect, you can do that as well. I'll turn the glowing and you can see here why they give you this grid, which it's a little hard for me to do since I'm not fully looking at it. I'm a little bit off the grid, but it's not hard when you're actually looking at this. You can see that I'm, like my right and left are slightly different, so I can't easily coordinate this to be on top of the lines. But if I do it this way, which will be the smart way to do it, then you can see that I can quickly eliminate the gap between those. And so if you were doing this not on a camera, but actually just, thinking about it, it's not hard at all to line this up so that there's no light coming in between. But for purposes of this video, I'm not going to super worry about it. Just know that it's easy to use this grid to eliminate those lines when you're doing it in your own home. So super neat how these all come together. And there are also 2 other pieces. So you get all of these pieces, and then you get 2 others, which are pretty cool, because they initially just sort of look like another floor piece. But if you look carefully, there's a sort of outline to it that's slightly different. It really only is visible on the glow. Sometimes when I look at pieces like this that are sort of like what I call trap pieces in Dwarven Forge, I think, yeah, the party's going to totally know it. And no, they put their mini right on it, and then I laugh because I get to trigger the trap. And the trap here is that this actually pops out, leaving a ring. And then you have separately this piece here, which you can also use as sort of like terrain. So you could use that as a little like bridge, or an elevation piece somewhere else. You can do things with it, which can be fun. But the point of this is to create a hole that they're going to fall into. And then you also receive various pieces that you can use. Now you can make your own, like you could put some red cellophane to just be like, it's just fire. But they come with an abyssal sort of like, or what do you call it, like a big pit, basically a pit kind of piece. They come with this red sort of fire magma thing, and you get 2 of each because there's 2 of these. So you can see here side by side what they look like. And then I could, put this magma down here, and they are not meant to glow through, though you could easily make some that do. But they, capture that. And again, you can put your piece on top there to cover it up. Assuming I can get which way it goes. There we go. So that's how it works. Really fun. I love these kinds of trap pieces, and it doesn't have to be a trap. You can also use them deliberately as a sort of pit, and things come out of there. Maybe fire erupts every now and then. You've got to jump over it. Lots of neat ideas. The adventures start writing themselves. Super cool. So that is that floor pack that we looked at on the website. You get, let's see, does it say the total number of pieces here? It looks like it's 6 of these kind of plain pieces. No, that's not right. 4, yeah, 6 of those pieces, 2 of the traps, 2 of all the others. So really neat. But there's one more thing. You thought that was it. That's the floor comes with one more fun thing, which is, and you could use this, tied into this concept of the pit that we're talking about, because look at this thing. This is a disgusting piece. It comes nicely packed in a sort of like container to protect it. Beautifully painted and coated in this sort of like really, glossy, slimy looking thing. And it is a sort of tile that's been overrun by this sort of flesh claw thing that's coming out. It has no one mouth or face. It just has sort of red, I don't know if those are eyes or boils or what, and then these horrid claws. Really cool. And so that's the kind of thing you can say, oh, well, once you look at this thing, it comes out. And you get 2 of these. So very fun. You have a lot that's coming just in that little floor set. So now we're going to take a look at the next piece, which is the Hellscape core set. This is the Caverns core Hellscape painted. So this is just shy of 200. It is again cast in the same translucent material. But here what it's trying to do, the last one was a floor pack. This is now trying to really help you make a really cool room. And not just one, square or rectangular room, but something that has a variety of angles to it, or at least a couple angles, so it can kind of move around. We saw that when we were looking at the website. So let's, we're going to have some normal floor pieces. So that's going to happen, right? That's going to be there. And like before, we're going to see some sort of interesting floor pieces that exist. You saw these in the floor set. So that's cool. That's, that's part of it. Neat. Nothing bad with that. It's really neat. So you got more of those if you also get the floor set. It lets you build even bigger areas. And then we're going to get some wall sets, and you have, I think, 4 different types of walls. So we have this one, which is really nice. You get this really cool stalactites on the ceiling and stalagmites on the ground, sort of meeting up all on top of this fiery magma base. So, you can add that in there. But let's put it sort of over to the side, forming the wall. And then you have, so there's 2 of those. There are 3 of these that really have sort of much more liquid ratio in terms of what they look like. But otherwise have really nice details again, just like that other set. And then you have the sort of rounded edge that comes out. You can see that when we look at it from above. It's really neat. It has these sort of orange shades that can kind of be light coming off of it, or it can be that it's actually hot. And again, a lot of liquid pieces there. So we'll just put that kind of over there. Really neat. And then we get a variety. Oh, yeah, and we also get this type. So maybe it's 4 types of walls. Yeah, four styles of straight walls. This has these really neat pools of magma that have been collecting at different levels. Super, super cool. And what I love about these pieces, even the backs are neat. Really nice design to them. But they look good whether you're looking at straight on, whether you look at it, from any angle, they look amazing. It's one of the things that Dwarven Forge does. And in fact, they often will look cool when you, like they'll have a little surprise detail even on the back end, like a little fire lizard or something like that. So then we get some corners. You can see here some real strong stalactites coming down. And so you can use that to create a corner. We also have some that are of more pronounced V shape, and then orange pools. So you can see how when the different pieces we use sort of create different types of situations. Like if you want a really tight nook that you're creating there, versus if you want a more open corner, then you can use that. We also get this kind, has that pools theme again, and the curve, really neat. So we can add that. That also gives us a fair amount of terrain to move in. So we get, I think, 2 of each of those pieces that are the curves. So you have 3 of those that are curved like that. And then you have this one that sort of looks like a pocket, and this is neat. Kind of has like this kind of fire mushroom that's there. that could be, you know, woven into a quest or just be a neat terrain element. And so that also can be a type of corner that you can add to your build. Really cool. We get another of the trap pieces that you saw before. So this here with the two types of covers. So we can, you know, add that as a trap and add to it. Really cool. And then we get a number of features. So you get this archway. So it can be a cool entrance that looks like it's, you know, dripping hot. That could be a neat kind of, you know, skill challenge thing that you put in there. So for this, I'll just put maybe a floor piece here, and we can put this there on there. You kind of can't quite see that there, but you know, so there we go. We'll insert a bit so you can see what that looks like. And then we get two, I just dropped one, but two of these pieces that are like a magma flowing down from somewhere up above. So that can be a nice way that you can kind of break up the terrain, break up the grid of it by just putting it in a place. You can also use it to, you know, freestand element in the middle, depending on what you want to do with it. We get a, put it there so we can see it more easily, series of sort of stalagmites that are coming up with little red pools all over them. So this can be used to divide up terrain. So if you want to block line of sight, and then we get another one that's sort of like a towering pinnacle kind of piece with lots of neat orange bits. That's very cool as well. So really neat stuff. I should also say all of these have on the bottom a magnet. This is true of the previous ones that we looked at. What that lets you do is when you are not putting them on the light board, but when you're putting them on one of their magnetic trays, it will not move. So the light sacrifices that magnetism to provide you with the glow from below, but, nice rhyme, but when you put them on a board and they have like say Magma boards, if you don't want the glow, you put these on there, they will not move at all once you set them in place. You can carry it one-handed, sideways even, I mean, don't shake it, but you know, sideways, tilt it, and it's not going to come off, and you can bring it right to your table and plop it down as a sort of surprise. So just as an example of, you know, kind of a, you know, a very squarish room that we're just doing deliberately, kind of, you know, not doing too much with it, just to fill up this light puck. We can do, you know, something like this, and there's a nice square room. You know, again, I'm not super trying to cover up all the light areas. I haven't maximized for that, but I can put all the features in there, and boom, you know, this is a really neat room. Like, it looks really cool, and depending on how I alter the glow, you can see, so I'm turning up the light now, so you can see sort of the intensity of the orange and how cool that is. You know, that's a really neat piece. And if I, so that's turned all the way up to really highlight that, or I can turn it down. And this is, you know, on my phone. Again, when you're looking at it with your eyes, it looks so good. It's like 10 times better, but it's still really cool, I think, the way it looks here. So I'm turning it basically all the way down now. And so now it's off. So you can see that even with no light, right, this is completely off, it still has a nice glow to it, right? In fact, if I turn my ring light on from up above, it kind of takes a while for the camera to compensate, but you can see, you know, like you can have intense light and it doesn't drown itself out, right? The patterns of color are very pronounced, whether using the light puck or light panel or not. Really, really excellent stuff. Super fun to see. So that is, you know, to give you a feel for the size of it, right? So we've got this light board covered up. I still have 3 of these. I have 1 of those. I have 4 different corners that are left. I've got the trap piece, and I've got a wall and another corner. So I can do a fair bit of expansion to this. I could use, I think they recommend 3 light panels if you want to fully light everything. So, you know, you can make it curve by adding to that piece. I've got 2 light panels, and I think when I played around with this set initially, it was very easy to use up 2 light panels in a really sweet build that's a sort of long curving build. 3 if you really wanted to make it have more of a serpentine type of room construction, room plan with offshoots. But yeah, it's really easy to do, right? You can like open up some pieces like this, and we could, extend out like this, and then you put a piece. Let's see, let me move this so we can see it. So, I can extend to the build by adding pieces like using my corner here, and have a room that comes off there, a tight kind of squeeze to get out. Lots of really different options for how you build it on there. I love it. Very cool stuff. So now we're going to take a look at our last set. This is the Advanced Caverns core set. So it's like the core set, but advanced, because it has pieces that are a little more usual, interesting, and it complements the core set. So you would not buy this set by itself without anything else, because it would be limited. It's meant to expand upon Hellscape pieces you already have. And even if you didn't buy the core set, but let's say you bought a room through one of the Kickstarter pieces, then this would be a neat set to add to it. The biggest things you get are these kind of cool curved pieces, and what they let you do is really change up the dynamic of the room. I like using these pieces to change up the interior of a room. So if you imagine that I've done all of my room here, and then I put this piece down, this will change up the dynamic of the room by adding these walls in. They also make really neat connector pieces. So if I'm transitioning from this area to another piece, I can use this to create a connection with a triangular piece. So really neat how it does it. They lots of magma, really cool side. Looks good from any angle. And then you also, and I'll leave it out so you can sort of compare. So you have this piece, but we also have this next piece that is slightly different. You can see here, the curve is in the center. I'll put them there so you can sort of compare what they look like. Here the curve is in the center rather than being a bridge between two pieces. It occupies a slightly different footprint in terms of how it takes place. So you can use these pieces to really change up a build, but they're really excellent transition pieces, or just to create a sort of unusual ending. So you can use it as sort of reverse curve. That's kind of neat. Then in addition to those neat pieces, you get these really tall walls, and you get 2 of them that kind of look like bookends, like they can go together, or you can put things in between and you can build up to them as well. So, and they have a lot of features. So it's really neat. Kind of, there's elevation gain here and back down here. And then you could take a different wall piece. So if I take like, I didn't leave my other wall set, but something like that can go next to it. Or included in this set are these pieces that are sort of look like almost like pillars, but they kind of work really nicely there to transition from this, and they're kind of expressly made for that to help you sort of round this build out. So when we put them down, they are a neat wall piece that we can use to change up the outer edge. We're also going to get some curved pieces there, but we can use these half pieces as well to round that out. To make up for the spacing we may want to use, you will also get 4 of these small pieces. They're just solid black, but they let you sort of bridge different gaps like that when you're creating sort of interesting spaces. You could also put 2 together to kind of round that piece out. And then we also get 4 of these that you can use depending on how you need to. So you could add some non-glowing spaces. Maybe that's the one safe place of rock, or you want to create a path by putting all these together. You can do that. We get some interesting corners. So you see the different variety, excuse me, different variety of corner pieces that we get here. Those are quite neat. And they let you change up the experience for what you would have from the core set. And you can see, you could even put something like, all of these pieces could create a central area that's sort of like that. Kind of neat. So a lot of options in what you do with this advanced set. And then these are really cool. So these are big, huge rock pillars. And that's another neat way to break up a room. So if you think of this being a base where it's all sort of orange, and then you add this in as providing some cover. They have two of them, so you could actually make it a wider piece if you want around the room that you're building. And then we also get two walls that you can use that come with little metal tabs underneath. So you can actually have a close end to a piece if you need to close off a piece without adding to it. Because normally a wall section sort of has some sort of width to it, some extension beyond it. But when you really want to just totally close it off, you can. So for example, here, I could just add that there and it closes it off. So because of the different spacing and sizing, you get a lot of options with this piece if you like complex builds. I like this set for the advanced builder, and I certainly like some of these features. This is probably not what I would buy if what I would advise in terms of if you're going to spend that money that you would buy, say, the core set and the advanced core. As much as I like some of these individual pieces, I mean, especially these and these are just wonderful. And the diversity of these kind of are great. But I would probably say just buy some like lava pieces or the volcano or other things like that are going to, I think, are going to be easier to use. If you have a bunch of Hellscape, then this advanced set, that's where this makes a lot of sense. Well, I should say also in this set, you get two of those pillars of magma that are coming down, and you get two of these as well. So, even more variety to add. It's a great set. I just think this is a set for somebody who truly is advanced. It's not a 1-2 set like maybe you might think because it's core set and core set advanced. I would get core set and I would get like a river or a volcano or that floor pack. To me, that adds a lot more utility, or even two core sets to build more rooms, or one of the Kickstarter rooms. To me, that is sort of more utility for the beginning Dwarven Forge person who wants to get into Hellscape advanced after that. All right, I think I've made that point clear. Last thing I want to do is show you some really neat pieces that aren't part of what Dwarven Forge sent me. These are pieces I bought when they launched the actual Kickstarter. All right, let's check out something really exciting. So this is the Magma River Pack P. I really like this one. This is really sweet. What it provides you with is 4 different pieces of Magma River. And it is just, I think, some of the most amazing stuff my eyes have seen. You can see how it glows. This is with it turned up sort of medium intensity. And you can see, a lot more. But even when you don't have the light on at all, so this could take a second for my phone, but you can see beautiful, beautiful colors, right? And so if I take some of these pieces that I was looking at before, and I sort of, create out the, just to sort of add to what you're, you can just see kind of how this looks if I had this, set up somehow. I'm not really doing it justice, but, you can just see how this river looks just amazing, right? Or in fact, let me add more river piece. So you also get a piece that looks like this. Really cool. This can be a T, right? So it comes in and separates out. So we could do, something like that. And we'd have 2 other pieces coming off here. I also have a corner piece. So it could be coming around a corner, right? And then I would come this way. So I could do something like that. And there's another corner bend. So I could actually make it sort of snake like this. So, disregarding that I'm just doing this all very on the fly, you can see how amazing that looks and how easily you want to then start having more than one light puck. You want to have like multiple, I keep saying light puck, that's the light panel. Let me now light up the panel, and you can see, again, I'm not not fully on, but you can get an idea for how this glows so nicely when you set it up. It's just amazing, and I tell you, it looks so much better in person. Like I'm looking at this, and I just want to play. I want to write an adventure for this right now. You also get a little sort of doohickey you can put in, a little kind of piece, so you could make stepping stones and have a sort of check to jump across. So that is absolutely gorgeous. So in that Magma pack, you get these 4 pieces. Let me turn this guy off again. There we go. So you get those 4 pieces, the T intersection in that. And then there is also separately this piece called Magma River Features. This is also a really nice one. If you're going down the Magma River path, and why would you not want to? You can see that you get this. It's a sort of like a spillover that can be either where it's going or where it's coming from. The source of the magma could be flowing, so that's really neat. Maybe you're coming down this river in some kind of special craft, and you've got to stop yourself before the drop off. You also have really amazing piece that is curved. Look at that. So it's just a wall that's, you are coming down the magma is just sort of flowing all the way down. And this actually has an LED flicker to it. I don't know if you can see that very well on the camera. You see that kind of flickering. Like that is the intensity of it changing. It looks really good in person. So, and I like, you don't even have to turn on this little LED switch, but you don't even have to turn on to look amazing, but it also has that LED component. So these are kind of 2 nice pieces in this, what's called in the River Features pack that lets you sort of state where something comes from. And then finally, it comes with this spillover piece, which is sort of how it ends. And this is something that you can use to, sort of transition onto pieces, right? You can use it onto normal terrain, whether it's normal dungeon terrain or something else. So you could come from an elevated area and then end on pieces, as sort of the end of the river. You could also take squares that you have from something like this and use that to end onto it. So that is that Magma Features pack. That is really cool too. I have several of these river pieces so that I can make a big scene. The other thing about the river pieces, while they are, an extra expense that you're adding in, it makes it so your rooms are now way bigger, right? Because it doubles as being large floor tiles. You put in 2 sections of magma, well, you just filled up a big area of the room, which means that just a little bit of room stuff, your walls and your other floor areas, go a long way. So it kind of stretches out what you can build with it. The last piece I want to show off, which again is one of my own pieces, not something that the Dwarven Forge sent to me to look at, and that is this amazing volcano. I'm going to turn on the light here so you can sort of appreciate it, the glow even more. This is an incredible piece. It is, taller than a miniature is. It also has an LED switch so that it can light up. If I turn the light pack up, it might, I have not taken out the plastic piece. So when I turn it on, you can see it has a sort of pulsing. I think you can see that on the camera just enough. Yeah. So it has this sort of pulsing light that goes in it. Really, really nice. And it's just a great looking piece. It actually has a hole, which you can see maybe sort of there. That little hole that you see right there, that is where steam can come out. So if you have a fog machine of some sort, and Dwarven Forge also sells one, then you can put the water source under here and the fog comes up and it will actually emit sort of smoke, right? Like water vapor will come out of it looking just absurdly neat. So this is just an incredible piece that you can add to your collection. That volcano is really neat, really will add a lot to a room. It could also be the source of your river if you go with the river pieces. So fantastic stuff. I hope you've enjoyed seeing all that the Dwarven Forge crew can come up with. Really neat, all of the types of pieces, and they all go together, all these different sets. And their entire rooms Just amazing, amazing stuff. I'm a huge fan of it. Take a look at everything that they have to offer on their website, see what you think. And of course, there isn't just Hellscape, as I've been reviewing in other parts in previous videos where I talked about the Dwarven Forge. You can look at all of the cool Wildscape. No, I'm let's take a look. You can look at all of the wilderness areas that they have. You can get the adventures, I mean, it's endless. In fact, I'm going to put up a Twitter thread after this because it's so much fun about some of the latest forest pieces that I got. And you can, of course, go and get the adventures, which I am not biased at all, but I helped write them. So, okay, I'm very biased. I think these are great. Wildlands, that's the word I was trying to say. So you can get the Wildlands adventures, you can get the Caverns Deep, the Dungeon to Doom adventures, which I went over in different videos and on my blog. But all of this part, there are no Hellscape adventures, but I think the terrain is cool enough that you can easily come up with it. And if you go to the shop section, you'll see all of the different things. They've got castles, they've got river stuff, and they're about to launch a Kickstarter soon for a sort of new version of their city stuff. So, oh my gosh, it's so good. So I hope you've enjoyed looking at the Hellscape opportunities that you have here for building and the light panels that are so incredible. If you have any questions about Dwarven Forge, or if you want to see certain pieces, just let me know. Send me a message via either on YouTube or via my blog contact page, and I will get back to you. Thanks so much. If you like the work that I do, please consider heading over to DriveThruRPG, where you can find the rules for collaborative campaign creation or the Game Master's Guide to Evolving Magic Items. You can also find my work on the DM's Guild. And you can go to alphastream.org, where you can actually get the 2 products that you see here for free if you support me. You can get one of them just by joining my mailing list, and you can get both of them by supporting my Patreon or on Ko-fi. Thanks so much for your help. I'll see you next time.